Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons, your host of the Inspirational Businesswoman Show. And today we're going to be talking with Stephanie Ghoston about how to activate your extraordinary. So hold on for a moment. I'm going to give you a preview and then I'll introduce you to our special guest. Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor and the host of the Inspirational Businesswoman Show, where you know it is my passion and my purpose to provide you, the viewer, with a gold mine of inspirational tips, strategies, and advice to help you grow your business from inspirational businesswomen in the know. And I have such a wonderful woman here today. I'm going to introduce you to Stephanie Ghoston in just a moment. But first, I want to pay attention to you and thank you, the viewer, for being here. Those of you who are here live, welcome. And please go ahead and post in the comment section. Right at the bottom of the comment section, there's a place for you to post. Let me know where you're viewing from. I'd love to know who is here so I can talk to you and acknowledge you. I appreciate your taking the time to be here. Now, for those of you who are catching this in replay, thank you as well. We appreciate that. We're going to have some fabulous information for you today. But first, I want to just give you the little Hangout marketing sponsorship information. And that's right, the show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com, where you can receive a complimentary assessment. This is a brand new assessment. It's all about live streaming and Hangout marketing. All the different ways you can use live streaming and Hangout marketing in your business to brand and grow and get the recognition that you deserve. So all you have to do is text the word success to 775-800-4179. That'll take you right to the assessment. It'll only take you about 5 minutes. And as a result, you might even qualify for a complimentary Shine strategy session with me. And at that point, we will really discuss your business. We'll go deep in your business and talk about how you can use all these different platforms that are out there to your advantage. So go ahead and take advantage of that. And if you are from out of the country, all you have to do is go to hangout-marketing.com to pick up that assessment. So thank you all for being here. I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know I did. I feel very blessed in my life to have family nearby, and I'm sending you blessings as well. I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. For those of you who are out of the country, I know you celebrate in different ways, but I'm sending my blessings to you as well. So thank you all for being here today. Now let's get to our guest, Stephanie Ghoston. She is, we call it, I guess, a recovering lawyer. It's interesting. We've had two on recently. So there must be something about law that can be not as satisfying as the work that they're currently doing. So Stephanie is the founder of Cultivated Sense. She is a coach. She's an author. She's even a matchmaker. And she's really going to be talking to you about how to activate your own extraordinary. And I think this is so appropriate this time of year when we're assessing our lives and maybe what we want to shift into or grow into this coming year. So she's going to be talking about how to recognize that you're stuck in autopilot. You know, sometimes we don't even realize it because we're stuck there, right? Repeating the same things over and over again. She's going to help us with that by providing the steps to stop settling in life and in love. And finally, she's going to give us some key strategies for optimizing your performance. So Stephanie, unmute yourself, come on in and say hi to our audience.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Virginia.
Oh, Stephanie, you are so welcome. We love what you're doing. And I love your story. I think your story is so great. And I think one of the reasons I like to share people's stories in the beginning is that I think we all, as business women and men, we love our men too, and entrepreneurs go through struggles in life. We go through phases in our businesses and in our life that are challenges. And you're no exception. So I'd love to have you share with everybody how you went from being a lawyer and a very successful one into being a coach and founding your own business. So let's give everyone some background on that.
Yes. So I was a practicing attorney in Washington, D.C., and from the outside looking in, everything was great. As I mentioned on the Facebook Live, my LinkedIn profile was great. I had a job in an economy where a lot of lawyers didn't. I was in D.C., of all places, and I was the first in my family to graduate from college and law school. So there was this family pressure to perform, like, oh, my daughter is a lawyer, my cousin's a lawyer. People were really excited about that. But within my practice, I never really found a good fit. Um, Either the hours were crazy. I would work all day, all night. I would work on the weekends. I would have to take a taxi home in order to get home because no public transportation was running. I also held jobs where the subject matter wasn't as exciting for me. I didn't feel like I was really making an impact. And I also held jobs where I loved my coworkers, loved the hours, and the work was so, but there was something about that workplace culture. And I really bought into that being busy and being overwhelmed, that's a lifestyle. I was rewarded for being busy and filling up my schedule, even if I didn't really have anything to do. So, as I said, this culminated in a fight that I had with a then boyfriend, and we were talking about how our relationship was going. He's really felt that I was smothering him, and at the height of the argument, he said, "Stephanie, you need to get a life." And I was so mad. I was pissed. But as my anger subsided, I started to think, like, I really don't have a life. All of my goals were wrapped up in his goals, his dreams, what he wanted to do. My friends were his friends. And I started to look around and I looked at my friends like, how are these people adding to my life? When was the last time I did something that I wanted to do, not that I'm supposed to be doing according to what society says? So, as one of my first acts of defiance, I always loved music, and so there was a concert that I really wanted to go to that he didn't want to go to, and so I said, I'm going to go by myself. So I traveled from DC to Baltimore, and I went to this concert, and I had so much fun. I mean, I had to reevaluate my standard of happiness because that concert was perfect. I was there by myself. I knew all the words, the lyrics. It was just like a perfect storm of everything. And so when I got back, I was really determined to do more of the things that I loved and figure those things out and to do less of the things that I didn't, which also included the people in my life that I needed to to change and get rid of. And so that's how I started figuring out how do I activate what I know is already inside of me. Because something else happened too when I started making that list. I got really panicked, and I felt I needed a huge breakthrough. So I was watching all of the Oprah videos that I could, the Tony Robbins, right, the Deepak Chopras. And I remember reading this article about Deepak that said he hadn't gotten mad in over a year. And just reading that really upset me. I'm like, I'm mad right now reading this. And I always felt that this wisdom was somewhere outside of me. Someone else who's smarter, who's a guru, they have to give me this wisdom. But as I started to tap into what I knew I had, I started to realize I had an infinite source of power, of healing, of love, of wisdom. And so I vowed, I'm like, I have to tap into that. And I want others to share in that. I want others to understand that they have this infinite resource rather than looking elsewhere for that. So that's kind of how I transitioned. And as I started my coaching business on the side, as I practiced law and went full time this year. So it's been a very interesting transition. And as you said, Virginia, we're often, as coaches, consultants, we're often our best client, right? We're able to walk our clients through that transition and through that risk and through the feelings and through all of the things that people go through because we've gone through them ourselves. And so I end up coaching a lot of people who are facing some kind of transition, whether it's in life, in love, in their career, and they've been through similar. They've been on the similar side of me, and also have come out on the other side successful.
Yeah, I think it's just so important. What you're talking about is you continue to be a lawyer as you went through the transition, and then you thought about, well, what is it that I really want to do? You did an assessment of your own life, and you got mad, which I think is part of how you get unstuck, isn't it? First of all, you have to discover, yeah, I guess maybe he was right. I
Yeah.
have the life I wanted, and I am not happy with the way I am busy. I'm getting paid to be really busy, but it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel truly authentic. And it's interesting also what you said about we teach what we have struggled through ourselves. That is the path that very often can help so many other people. And it's certainly, how I landed in helping people with live stream broadcasting, because I guess I spent more time with it than most people. I struggled through a lot of stuff. And you even saw me today as we were broadcasting live on Facebook for the preview for this show. There's a lot of hoops to go through. And so that ended up became what people wanted from me as much as anything. And, it's how transitions are made. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
just really important that you shared that. And it's not, a flash, and next thing you know, you're in another career. It is something that you evolve with.
Definitely, definitely. And at that time, I was stressing, and I still stress the importance of being 100% authentic, right? Like, you had these technical difficulties. That's part of the struggle. That's part of the transition. And that was part of the disconnect for me because I saw Oprah at the height of her career. I didn't see her struggling to the top. I saw, Tony Robbins. I was looking outside when I really should have just been comparing myself to me. That's the only person I can compare myself to. And so I think something I really value, and that I and my clients really value from me, is that authenticity of like, yes, I had this moment, and I'll continue to have these moments as my business goes through different phases, as you talked about. As I moved across the country, that was another transition that I went through. There'll always be these moments where you have to check in with yourself and say, am I getting stuck again? Even as a coach, even as doing stuff that I love. I love coaching. I love helping people. I love helping people over to the other side. But I also have to check myself to make sure I don't become complacent in that as well.
Yeah, I think that's important for all of us. If it starts to get too easy, if you start to feel like you're coasting, you just might be. So let's talk about that. And that is hot topic number one. How do you recognize that you're stuck in autopilot?
Yeah, the very first sign is something that I talked about, was that busy or overwhelmed phase. Are you busying up your schedule with all kinds of things? And now these things might not be bad things, right? I was going to work, I was going to happy hours, I was meeting new people, I was going to brunch. I was watching reality TV shows, right? In and of itself, not terrible things, but I was doing it because I did not want to face what the real challenge was, which was that I was so unhappy with my life. And so I always felt like I was running from something. And so that's the number one sign is, are you running? Are you using overwhelm and being busy as a way of life to avoid dealing with what you really should be dealing with? The second way that you know that you can recognize that you're on that you're stuck or on autopilot is that you know that you're destined for more. So some people, I think they make overwhelm their lifestyle, but they think that this is how things are supposed to be. You probably have some inkling that there's something better for me out there. I could be using my time, talents, my unique gifts in a different way that's more impactful, that I care about more, that values my priorities and the things that are important to me. And so you have that you maybe you've like in a very small sample you've experienced that. Maybe one day, and I would do that on my job. At my job, the the attorney work that I did that involved clients directly, I loved that work. I loved working with people. I loved solving their problems, but I came up against so many limitations because of budget constraints or because of this is the end of my legal representation of you. I can't do anything more for you. And I always wanted more. I wanted more of that contact, more of that problem solving. And then the third one is the question that I pose that is, when was the last time you felt ridiculously happy, excited, fulfilled, or satisfied? And if you have to think for too long, it's been way too long. And not saying that life is all, roses and lollipops. But for me, when I had that exercise, when I was at that concert, I was so happy. I couldn't think of the last time that I felt that way. And that was a really powerful moment where I said, I need to create more of these moments in my life.
Wow. So those are really important tips. And I like the last one in particular because that really nails it into when was the last time you felt ridiculously happy? And I love the term ridiculously too, because that means above and beyond just content, but in a state of absolute joy. And we all could take a look at that and say, how long's it been? Because if it's been too long, hey, what's life about after all? Life is about living in your joy. And another thing that I will reflect on that you talked about is something that one of my mentors said a long time ago, and that is, are you spending your time doing what's urgent rather than what's important? Because as a result, if you're doing what's urgent, you're probably avoiding what is important. And the two are not the same. What is important should take priority. But if you're skipping over to do what you think is urgent, you might be missing out and definitely in stuck or avoidance mode.
I love that. I love that because I also feel that that urgency, that's a standard that doesn't have anything to do with us, right? Like usually urgent is someone else's deadline, someone else's emergency that we take on for ourselves. This is an outside in imposed thing, right? Rather than our urgency, which would be what is important to us. And that was a lesson I had to learn. I was always dealing with family emergencies and dealing with work emergencies and saying yes to all these people and trying to help everyone else and not doing the things that I needed to do to help myself. And that was really hard for me to say no and to break away and to set those boundaries. But it was a really important exercise.
Yeah, saying no is also critical
Yeah.
if you want to activate your extraordinary. I think that's a good tip for all of us to remind ourselves, are you doing it because you feel you should be doing it, or is it part of your important things to be doing? Well, let's go into the next ones. I know you've got several steps for everyone, and that is steps to stop settling in life and love. And I know you might add that you are a matchmaker as well, and tell them a little bit about how you got into that, and then let's go into the steps.
Sure. Yeah. When I started my coaching business, I was really looking for mentors. So this is again my theme of someone else can teach me more than I know. And at that time, I reached out to a few mentors that were in the space, other Black life coaches. And one in particular got back to me, and I should have done my research a little bit better. I knew that he had a matchmaking institute, an agency, but I kind of was like, well, you also do business coaching and business mentoring. I'll take that angle. He ended up pouring into me. We were able to have a great conversation. He helped me make some key business decisions about how I wanted to run my company. And so at the end, I asked a simple question. I said, do you need any help with what you have going on? And he said, yeah, people don't really ask me that. Yeah, I do. I would love to have some help. And so at first I was so distant from the matchmaking because I was like, I'm all logistics. I don't want to be in that space. It's not about love or relationships for me. That's too therapy-ish. I'm not a therapist. So I started as a director of logistics, and I was doing a lot of the organizational stuff, cleaning up the database, developing sourcing campaigns, very like technical things. But as I started to hear the stories of the people who are coming to the agency, I love helping people. And I, again, saw a need, a problem that I could solve, same framework of my coaching, but just geared towards love. And I often saw that people were showing up in different areas of their life the exact same way, right? So
Yeah,
if you're a people please,
how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's what they say. How you do money is how you do everything. How you do love is how you do everything. How you do business. Yeah, it all relates.
yeah, it was all related. And so it was a joy and a pleasure to serve these clients who came, and they, by all other standards, on the outside everything looks great, got a great job, they're, pillars of the community, they're involved, they give back. And then the one thing that they felt like they were missing in life was love, that they deserved love, that they wanted love in their lives. And so yeah, it's been a journey. I've worked with the agency since 2014, and I have, there have been some incredible people who've come through the agency that we've been able to help. So I'm really grateful not only to be able to help those people, but to also, as I built my business, see what works, what didn't, pick his brain, get some advice about those things. So very, very grateful for that.
Okay, so let's show them then some of the steps they can take, whether it's for business,
Yeah.
overall life in general, or love. Let's give them some clear-cut steps they can take starting
Yes.
today.
Starting today. Well, the first thing, I mean, if you're listening to this, this is the first step, right? You have to recognize that you're actually on autopilot. You have to know that you're settling. You have to say, you know what, I'm stuck. And that's an important step because we want to skip over that thing, right? We don't want to be labeled. We don't want to be judged. We want to watch this broadcast in secret, maybe. We don't want people to know that we have this issue. But we really have to speak up about it because there are so many people in your life, in your community, that are also in the same boat. And because we don't speak up, we stay isolated. So now I'm over here. I think I'm the only one in the world with this problem, while my friend across the street has the exact same problem, but we're not going to talk about it. We have to call it out. And the other thing we have to recognize, and this was the first step for me, was that everything that you're looking for, you already have, right? So I do believe that we all have unique talents, gifts, abilities, messages for other people that we're supposed to share. As we grow, we learn ways and rules of being and doing because, we got to be realistic, or we got to pay the bills, or we have to be a wife and a mother. So we learn ways, and we put these layers on top of who we really are inside. And because of our experiences, we don't want to experience those again. So we may have gotten hurt, or we're trying to evade, we're trying to stay away from heartache or pain or loss or trauma. So we build up shells of ourselves, right? And so my work is tearing down those shells. So the first thing is just even understanding that you, at the core, are healthy, whole, satisfied, right? I read this book, Michael Neal's Inside Out Revolution, and he said, like, babies don't need therapy because, like, we're perfect when we're born, right? We don't need therapy, kids, we dream freely, and then we learn when to speak up. We learn to be realistic. We learn what's possible. And so I want people to recognize that, to tap into that inner child, really. Um, then, after you recognize that you are settling and that you have everything that you need, I encourage people to begin to assess where you are today. So, why do you do the things that you do? I encourage people to explore their why and their purpose. And this is so important because, again, our why gets muddled up into what society tells us we should do. You should do this because you'll make money. You should do this because you'll look good. You should do this for this reason. When we have a deeper why and a deeper purpose. So I encourage people to explore that purpose. It has to be specific to you, and it has to be true, and it has to be powerful to you. So, I love telling this story about a fellow coach who was, his doctor was really trying to get through to him, you need to eat better, you got to exercise. And the doctor explains it to him in the medical terms, like, according to this, you are 90% at risk of this. And he's like, yeah, doc, whatever. The doctor explains it to him in terms of physical terms. You will get a gut, you will not be able to walk up the stairs. He's like, yeah, whatever. He goes to the doctor the third time, and the doctor's like, I don't know how else to explain this to you. Excuse me. Um, if you continue eating how you're eating, you will not be able to play with your kids next summer. And that really hit home for him. That was his why, his motivation for being and doing. When he didn't feel like exercising, he thought about, I want to spend another summer playing with my kids. And so that was something that was specific and powerful to him. I also want people to try to assess what's the gulf between where you want to be. So you know where you are now. Where do you want to be? So this is like goal setting. And my favorite goal setting exercise is the BHAG. Virginia, are you familiar with the BHAG?
I'm not sure. Talk to me more about it and I'll let you know.
Yes, the BHAG is your big, hairy, audacious goal. It's huge. And it
Yes,
is,
I am
yes.
familiar with it. I just didn't hear the acronym before.
Okay, yeah, the BHAG. And this is where I encourage people to tap into your inner child. What was that dream that you had? What is that quote unquote impossible goal that you are striving for, that you can bring all of your desires under that, right? And then I help people figure out, what are your values? What's most important to you, so we know what lane should you stay in, right? As you make decisions, your values guide your decision making. So for me, I have, when I decide to do something or work with someone or go somewhere or take a gig or anything, I say, is this in alignment with my values? And that all falls under my BHAG. So I have a huge BHAG. If you can get that BHAG in the next 5 to 10 years, it's not big enough. Go bigger. And then the last step that I encourage people to do is to get accountability. Accountability, accountability, accountability. You got to have some kind of system. So that's the what. And then you have to have some person or people to help you. That's the who. So in terms of, people talk about their team, their tribe, a mastermind, you can find these folks online. You can get a coach. You can have a friend, an accountability partner. I think it's setting goals in a vacuum never works. You have to have someone saying, well, what's going on with this? Have you finished this? I expect you. I'm holding you capable of doing this, and I want to encourage you along the way. And the systems to support that, I mean, we have all these technology apps. We can get on a hangout and I can talk to Virginia from across the country. We have all these things that can connect us and also increase our motivation, increase our productivity. I have Chrome browser extensions that block all the sites that I'm not supposed to be on, like Facebook, and I make sure that when it's time to write, it's my time to write. When it's time for me to take time for myself, I need to take that time for myself. I also have scheduled in periodic times where I assess my goals, I assess my plan. because you can't wait. You know, we're a month away from the new year. You can't wait a whole year to assess your New Year's resolutions. You really should be assessing those periodically, once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a month. Look back and say, here's what I wanted to accomplish. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't. Here's what I can do differently moving forward. So
I'd interject here because I think you're making so many valid points. And I think one of the most important things that you said, and you said a lot of great stuff, but I'm not going to reiterate it all for sure, but you can't set goals in a vacuum. They never work. So an accountability partner, and as you say, it could be a coach, but it doesn't have to be a coach. It can be a good friend. It could be someone else who's on a path. And, you know, I've been in accountability groups. They're usually triads that I've been in for, good grief, over 2 years now. And we meet weekly. And, you know, that's fess up time. And you can say you didn't get anything done this week, or you can say, here's what I got done. And if you don't have that, you're not assessing your own progress either. Every time we meet, and by the way, that's what we do. We meet with Hangouts on Air, and we've got that record of what we've accomplished. We've also got the record of what we said we were going to accomplish, and it keeps us on track. So I really recommend some form of accountability group that you can have to meet with once a week. And you know you're going to meet with them at that same time, and therefore you better come clean with what you've gotten done or what you didn't get done, because they're going to be your best advocate, and they're also going to, you know, give you a kick in the pants with a little love as well. So I think that's really valuable information.
Yes, and I've used accountability all throughout my coaching career. When I first started, I did buddy coaching, so I did one-on-one coaching. I had a coach myself. As a coach, I believe in the power of coaching. I've actually had 3 different coaches for 3 totally different reasons, as I was creating programs, as I was expanding, as I was raising my prices. I had different needs at different times. I've been a part of masterminds. I've had a weekly accountability partner this whole past year and a half. She just moved to Portland. So it's like now we're doing it in person. It's just, it really has to fit you and your lifestyle. And if you, I don't want to hear that there are no people out there. If you cannot find a group online, I want you to create one. Go to meetup.com and say accountability group for whatever city you live in. There's got to be someone else there that wants to be held accountable for the things they want to get done. If you don't have it, start it. That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely no excuses whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how about mindset shifts? I mean, that's really key, as you said, to having extraordinary results. And that's what we want for people, to position themselves right now, over this next month's time, to move into an extraordinary 2017. So what do we need to do from a mind shift standpoint?
Yes. And the mindset shifts, tough words together. As I said earlier, they're not necessarily things to practice or things you need to remember every day. They're kind of just, as you know, once you know them, you know them. You have to be cognizant of how you're using them. Some of them have to do with language. Some of them have to do with thought. So the very first mindset shift that I thought was most crucial for me and my business, and has been the #1 breakthrough for my clients, is breaking free from binary thinking. Right. And especially in the United States, we're going through this period where people, it's either I'm right and you're wrong, right? There's only 2 sides to a coin: door A, door B, option 1, option 2. And we're often wrong as humans. We're bad at predicting outcomes, right? So it's, well, if I do this, then one of 2 things will happen. We're usually wrong. And thinking in binary terms limits us. It limits our possibilities. It limits on what we can do. And it's also just, like I said, we're just inaccurate. We can prepare as much as we want. We don't know what's going to come. So getting out of that binary thinking is as simple as adding an and, right? Understanding that 2 things can exist at one time. So this one is about language, right? Even when you're talking to someone and you say some clause and then you say, but, that has negated everything that you just said. Add an and. It's not an either or, it's not a but, it's an and at the same time. This was so helpful for me because I was evaluating my results in terms of binary terms. Either it was a success or it was a complete failure. When, to be really honest, everything is a little bit of both, right? My first online launch was really, really rushed, but it was also a success. And it also I can improve all the time. And I learned so much from it, right? So as we start to get out of these binary thinking or binary roles, I can't be a wife and an entrepreneur. I can't be a good mom and a whatever. It's an and. You can have multiple things exist at one time.
Okay, that is just a priceless tip right there. And I've heard it before, but you really, really brought it home with this topic, because I think we all tend to drift into that, the but that we add to the end of a sentence, making it, as you say, negating it, making an excuse that the but part has more power than the first statement, when indeed what you really want to do is encompass both possibilities, and then think about what is the best path to take as a result of those two binary thoughts, so to speak. So yeah, now you've expanded your thinking beyond, way, way beyond the box you might have put yourself in. You know, I can't be a good mother and a good lawyer, as an example.
Right.
Too much going on. Instead, saying, I think you could add the question to that. When you have a but that you want to be putting in at the end of a sentence or between two statements, you might ask the question. If you catch yourself, this is my tip. You let me know what you think. If you catch yourself using the but in a double sentence, a binary sentence, why not follow it up by asking yourself, but how can I make this work? What are all the possibilities in these two situations or these two ideas? How could I? What are the possibilities? What do you think of that?
I love that. I'm a huge proponent of language. And so even turning that definitive statement into like a how can I is really, really powerful. And I've heard and I've seen people do this, as you have these mindset shifts, you're changing your mentality, right? Things are not just happening to you. You change one word. So you're like, the world is happening to me. All these things are happening to me. You say, well, how can I make it happen for me? Right? It's one little word, it's one shift, but it's a question which leads you into possibilities. When we have, I mean, like you said, those concluding statements, that's just it. It's a conclusion, it's a fact, done deal, stamped. But asking the question engages the part of your brain that starts to get active, it starts to get really creative, right? And I've had some of the best outcomes possible by asking questions like that. How can I do both at the same time? How can I celebrate while still working hard? How can I do this and this and this? And I think that that's a really great question to open up. That is, I love that tip. There you go, Virginia.
This is mind storming. I call this mind storming. Together, we're in the same side of the country now. I don't think you told them that you're from the Pacific Coast. Where are you from again, Stephanie?
So I just moved to Portland in May. So I moved to Portland from Washington, D.C. I came across the country, all the way across the country.
And I did too, 13 years ago now, though. I came from the Midwest in the Chicago area, all the way across to Reno, Nevada, and I haven't looked back. And one of the reasons I haven't looked back is because I still have these wonderful ways of connecting with people online, using this incredible technology. But I think this sort of moves us into the sort of the wrapping everything up, and then I want you in a moment to tell people about the gift that you have for them. But wrapping things up here, I think we might ask the question then, and ponder this as you're drifting off to sleep at night, because I think you might end up with some amazing dreams if you ponder, how can I make my life more extraordinary in 2017? What are all the possibilities for being extraordinary going forward? What do you think of that?
I love that question. And another question that I'll ask is, we often make so many excuses of why we can't do things. And so the question I would ask to get outside of those limiting beliefs, I would just ask, who could you be without those thoughts? Right? In 2017, okay, you have all these limiting beliefs. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But who would you be without those thoughts? And acting as if you don't gets amazing results. It's not fake it till you make it. I loved calling it like feelings follow action. We always think we have to embody some characteristic before we do things. Like, if I'm confident, then I'll get on this interview. But really, it's about doing. And confidence, you continue to do. You just try. You try different stuff. Excuse me. You can think of it as experiments, right? These are hypotheticals. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But you'll be okay either way. You have to try. You have to be, you have to do without worrying about if you can do or not. So I love that question. You have some really great questions. I would add to those, like I said, who would I be without those thoughts? What are those beliefs costing you? What lost opportunities? What have you lost? What's the cost to you by believing those things?
Yeah, I call that, I have a friend on here. Hi, Jackie. And we used to say to each other, you got to get rid of that stinking thinking. You need a checkup from the neck up.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, the point being, who could you be without those thoughts? And how can you act as if you've already got you've gone through the limitations into what we call the extraordinary?
Yes.
Yeah, I love this. Great conversation, especially for this time of the year. I'm so glad we were able to put you in the schedule now, Stephanie. I am going to go ahead and post the image of the gift so people can get it. And I'm also going to post it in the comment section. So while I'm doing that, you go ahead and tell people what they can expect when they go for your gift.
Yes. So I have a 3-step guide to building momentum because I'm a mindset and a logistics coach. So I recognize that you have to have the ironclad mindset, but you also need to have those logistics. What is the system? What is your accountability looking like? So if you go to the link up here, and you subscribe. You just have to put your name and your email address. You'll get my 3-step guide to starting to build that momentum and actually getting things done. So there are logical tips for you to get started, and then also the mindset pieces that you'll need to continue building that momentum so you can get stuff done and be extraordinary and go out in the world and do a bunch of great things. So I'm excited for it to give that away.
Yeah, and it is. It's quick and easy for you to access, and all you have to do, for those of you who are listening on iTunes, which this will end up as a podcast on iTunes, all you need to do is go to hmtips.com/Stephanie Gift. Stephanie, STEPHANIE Gift. hmtips.com/Stephanie Gift. I have also placed it in a link in the comment section for everyone, so you should be able to get it there as well. All right, Stephanie. Whoops. Let's give them a final word, Stephanie, for, did you hear that? Did you hear this HM Tips Stephanie Gift? Oh, you're muted now. Unmute yourself.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Yeah, we were playing around with mute.
Yes, I did hear it.
Okay, good.
Yes, I did.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't muted. Yes, let's go ahead now and give them just sort of your final words. Wrap this all up in a beautiful bow for the holidays.
Yes. So I'm all about finding ordinary ways to live extraordinarily. Life is not a series of aha moments that you're just I got a breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. It's really doing the small stuff consistently, daily, making small changes that have a huge impact and really getting back to who you really are. You don't have to be somebody else. You don't have to, follow the schedule of a guru. You really have to be yourself. So finding, understanding, and pursuing your extraordinary is really, really important. I hope that you start 2017 on the path to discovering your extraordinary.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. This has just been a wonderful conversation. And for those of you, we've only got a few here today who are live, but I want to appreciate and thank you for being here. Thank you so much. But I know many, many more of you are going to be seeing this in replay mode. The gift is available for you too. Again, hmtips.com/Stephanie Gift. I want to thank you all for taking the time to visit with us today, and go out and make your life extraordinary. We appreciate you. We value you, and we thank you. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye.